First fight of the night, we're kicking it right off with what should be a really fun striking bout between Julio Arce and Daniel Santos. Oh yeah, I got to remember to actually pull up those odds for you. Julio Arce is the favorite at minus 190 with comeback on Daniel Santos as the underdog at plus 170. This is the kind of fight that if you break down their skills and watch the footage, I think if they both had like an even amount of UFC experience against higher level opponents, I think this fight would be lined much more closely. I think skill wise they might actually be fairly close, but this is such a big step up in competition for Daniel Santos. He's looked really good in his regional tape, but now he's jumping up and taking on I think Arce is like a 7-fight veteran in the UFC. I think he's 4-3 in the UFC. But so Arce attempts 11.8 significant strikes per minute. He lands only 4.14 for an accuracy of 35%, but still throwing more than 11 or throwing 11.8 significant strikes per minute. Even if you're not landing that many, that looks really good to the judge. That just that level of activity. Arce also has a really impressive 93.75% takedown rating. He's had 16 takedown attempts against him at the UFC level, and he's defended 15 of them, so that's pretty awesome. He's a solid striker. He's also a solid grappler. He tends to start kind of slow. He's one of those guys who tends to give away round 1 to make his reads, and then he kind of comes back at you more in round 2 and round 3. And he's coming off of his last fight was a KO loss to Song Yudong, I think. Yeah, I think that was his most recent fight. Daniel Santos, if you watch his footage, he's a fun kickboxer. He's a shoot-a-box fighter. He has that kind of classic shoot-a-box style. He holds that kind of high, tight Muay Thai guard. He kind of has that Muay Thai stance, that Muay Thai style. He throws those big looping punches like you see the shoot-a-box guys throw a lot, like Vanderlei Silva, kind of those huge winging punches. That's sort of his style. He'll also he throws head kicks. He throws spinning kicks. So he's got kind of a flashy kickboxing style as well. One thing that's a little bit weird about Santos is he hasn't fought in over 2 years. He's 27 now. So he didn't fight at all between the ages of 25 and 27, which is a little bit strange, but it's also, it's one of those things where, depending upon who you talk to, people have different reads on a fighter taking a long hiatus from fighting. Excuse me. Usually, if it's an older fighter, we kind of tend to consider that a negative thing. Why haven't you been busy? You're going to come back, you're going to have ring rust or whatever. But a fighter in their mid 20s like that, a fighter who hasn't even come into their prime yet, a lot of times we look at that as, okay, you took that 2 years, you've probably gained a lot of skills, you've probably really sharpened up your skills and picked up some new tricks for the toolbox in those 2 years. So we could see a really impressive performance from Santos here. Santos is at that like plus 170 money line, which, if it wasn't for the big step up in competition, I would probably take a shot on that. I think Santos could look good here in the striking, but I think we could see Arce, potentially decide to use his grappling here too. He's got some decent wrestling. He's got some decent grappling. Santos, in the fights that I watched, I didn't watch all, I didn't go back and watch all of his fights, but I watched probably 2 or 3 of them. He did show some decent defensive wrestling. He did stuff some takedowns and sprawl out of some takedowns and that sort of thing. So not necessarily that Arce is going to have easy pickings with the takedowns there. But yeah, I do favor Arce to probably win here. I'm not super, super confident. I don't have a bet on this fight. If I was going to, I probably wouldn't end up betting that Santos money line at plus 170, but it is a little bit tempting because, like I said, if it wasn't for the big step up in competition, I think that would potentially be a pretty good bet.